Boom. All right. Make sure it's going. You're live. Live from the great state of Texas. It's the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news. From the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner, yours truly. I go by Blind Run on the interwebs, and I go by Matthew in real life. Today we have a lot of topics, so we're starting a little early because we got just a ton of stuff to talk about, guys. We have TSMC to become Nvidia's sole GPU supplier in 2022 in a very odd move because, you know, they used to have Samsung also provide, and that's kind of interesting. We also have some specs possibly revealed in the ARC control panel for the new Intel Arc A series desktop GPUs. We're going to see what we can gather from that and kind of figure out performance. Good news there is the memory is faster than traditional GDDR6, and it has a big old bus, and you know, big old buses make the mining world go round. We're going to be talking about Ergo and its first non-custodial token mixer. And then we're going to be talking about Dogecoin spiking and, of course, Elon Musk basically buying a bunch of Twitter shares. Then we have a mining company that is essentially offering Bitcoin dividend payments. This will be kind of the first in that realm of, I suppose, stock markets, etc. It's pretty interesting. We also have the SEC requiring crypto exchanges to expose their customers' assets, and India's tax completely destroying, of course, the sale and trading of cryptocurrency within India. And then the EU also cracking down on crypto assets and forcing crypto users to basically KYC. And I wanted to bring up Saitama because it's a token that is trending on Google right now. I think it's important that when we see these types of things trending, we cover them and give you guys an idea on the validity of the project, along with, of course, any sort of just either warnings or if you should be looking at it and so on, so you have a better idea. So we're going to be covering that today too. And then, of course, the traditional mining profitability for the day. I actually have a lot of rigs down. We will be doing a vlog this evening. It'll probably come out tomorrow, but that's the way it goes. We also have some new GPUs that have gotten installed, so I'm pretty excited about all of that. If you guys don't mind, always remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe and the notification bell so you're notified when we go live, in case we go live early like we did today. And that definitely helps the algorithm out, helps the channel out, and hopefully you're on the same page with me from preaching from the point of view of fundamentals and all that sort of thing, so we can spread that word for new people that are getting into cryptocurrency. Let's go ahead and start with the ad for today, and I'm pretty fond of this sponsor. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. And we're back. All right, so starting things off today, we have TSMC to become Nvidia's sole GPU supplier in a report from WCCF Tech. This one's really interesting. Now, this is interesting because just in general, when we're talking about GPU shortages and so on, the expectation was going to be that Nvidia was going to have both TSMC and Samsung helping on manufacturing here. Let's get into the details and see what we should be watching out for. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, is set to rapidly grow its market share by end of this year, according to a fresh report from Korea. TSMC is the world's largest contract chip manufacturer, as it is responsible for supplying semiconductors to most of the world's largest technology firms. This list includes Cupertino, California consumer electronics giant Apple Incorporated, along with chip designer Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated, which is AMD. Additionally, TSMC is also in partnership with Intel Corporation and Qualcomm Incorporated, both crucial players in the modern-day semiconductor industry. Now, it appears as if the Taiwanese company might soon be responsible for supplying Nvidia Corporation with all of the latter's graphics processing units, GPUs. Nvidia already has a partnership with TSMC for some of its products, but purported problems at the company's other chip supplier, the Korean firm Samsung Foundry, will force it to switch sides completely to TSMC, according to Business Korea. Today's report is not the first time that we have come across rumors of a rift between Samsung and Nvidia. Nvidia is the world's largest GPU designer, and the company's diversification into emerging industries has enabled it to surpass Intel Corporation as the most valuable semiconductor firm globally in terms of market capitalization. The first such report came late last year when a rumor from China placed an outrageous price tag for Nvidia's switch to TSMC. In the contract chip manufacturing industry, fabrication plants often have their orders booked months in advance in order to allocate limited capacity and customize production to meet customer needs. This rumor claimed that Nvidia will pay TSMC a whopping $7 billion to secure access to TSMC's 5nm process technology for its products. This rumor was followed by another report late last month, which ended up leaking Nvidia's now launched data center GPU. This will be manufactured on TSMC's 4nm process, which is a refined variant of the 5nm process, and is collectively part of the N5 technology family. Now, Business Korea claims that the data center Hopper GPU switching over to TSMC is only the start of Samsung's woes. The publication quotes sources in the industry to report that by the end of this year, nearly all of Nvidia's products will be manufactured by the Taiwanese chip maker. Here's a quote. Accordingly, industry insiders expect TSMC to monopolize orders for all GPUs to be released by Nvidia in 2022. Nvidia had difficulty selling its GeForce RTX 3000 series in 2020 due to Samsung Electronics' low production yields. Nvidia had outsourced the production of data center and consumer PC GPUs to TSMC until 2019. In 2020, it first selected Samsung Electronics as its manufacturing partner for RTX 3000 series GPUs in an effort to lower production prices and boost product competitiveness by diversifying suppliers. The complete switch to TSMC, if true, is ironic since Nvidia had originally intended to retain some power over suppliers by diversifying as much as it could. TSMC and Samsung are the only two companies in the world that manufacture and sell chips built through advanced technologies below 7nm to other firms. Nvidia is rumored to have agreed to pay as much as $10 billion to TSMC for jumping to the 4nm chip. And the company is also reportedly in talks with Intel Corporation for the latter's Intel Foundry Services, IFS, plans that will mark Intel's entry as another player in the contract chip manufacturing industry. Following the growth spurt in the high-performance computing HPC sector and growing demands for its products, TSMC introduced the N4X chip technology in December. This is a variant of the 4nm node that will cater exclusively to HPC products, and it is expected to enter risk production in the first half of the next year. HPC products are more complex than others since they require larger chips and higher yield alongside other requirements from the chip manufacturers. So what we really learn here, of course, is going to be the fact that, we see Nvidia moving away from Samsung, which we've known they've butted heads in the past. We clearly are aware that whatever was going on with the production over, the past couple of years, 2020 and 2021, wasn't hitting the yields that were needed to meet demand. So the supply was down. It sounds like some of the arguments here to me is that Nvidia is saying, of course, that is Samsung's fault. And we'll just have to see where we go from here as far as if this will actually help or hurt the GPU shortage or the chip shortage problem. Of course, we have talked about Intel building its new chip foundries, and that should help alleviate as well some of the shortage issues, especially in the, I suppose, the Western cultures, as it will be less dependent, supposedly, because it'll be within the United States and Ohio, I believe it is, should help at least with the shortages in Western countries. And we'll just have to go ahead and let it play out and see what happens. Now, historically, as far as the core processes go, it doesn't affect memory quite as much, but it is important to note that if they are, not working with Samsung on the actual chip manufacturing, what does that mean for the memory? We do know that previously it has been behooved of you as a miner to, basically test your GPUs. And if you had Samsung memory, then you would keep it. And then if you didn't, you would swap it out and try to get Samsung memory. Are we not going to see Samsung chips or memory chips at all ever again in Nvidia GPUs? I don't know, but it's interesting nonetheless, and it's definitely something you want to take a look at. Obviously, if you're playing around in the stock market, not financial advice, but TSMC does look to have a super strong position going into 2022 and beyond. We have more information from Intel. The Arc A series desktop graphics card specifications possibly revealed in the Arc control panel. This is also coming from WCCF Tech and was released on April 2nd. So hopefully free of course, the whole April Fool's jokes. Intel Arc Control is the newly released monitoring software for Arc Alchemist and Xe Iris GPUs. Highlights of the new software include a performance tab to allow for GPU monitoring and overclocking capabilities, among other features. During Intel's Arc Control video presentation, the specifications hinting at an unknown discrete desktop GPU may have been leaked, as reported by 3D Center. Throughout the presentation, Intel displays some of the data that the Arc control software is capable of, such as core and memory frequency and GPU power that can be seen through an overlay activated by the software while playing games on the system. While the company cuts back and forth from the screen, the specifications do not sync with the laptop Arc GPUs that were announced a few days back. In the video, the GPU clock could reach 2200 to 2250 megahertz with the full use of the device. This new information is speculated to be the boost clock of the flagship ACM G10 GPU core that hasn't been released yet. Benchmark results from Geekbench show that the Intel Arc A350M can reach the same frequencies during the OpenCL test. However, the clock speed is for the boost clock, whereas the base clock for the A350M is at 1150 megahertz. So there's quite a huge disparity between the average peak and the max peak clock speeds that the GPUs can achieve. Intel's Tom Peterson, in an interview with PC World, revealed that they treat the GPU clock close to Nvidia's boost clock, but not the peak clock. It's the most constrained boost clock that the GPU can achieve on average, so peak clocks should be much higher. The reason that the speculation that the Arc A780 desktop GPU was accidentally or purposefully to raise interest is that the power of the GPU is at 175 watts, which is relatively high for a mobile GPU variant to reach. The Arc A770M can get a GPU power level of 150 watts, but Intel's Deep Link technology, which allows dormant power from the CPU to be utilized in the GPU, could cause the ability to be higher with help. This type of power boosting is similar to Nvidia's dynamic boost. There is further speculation that we only see GPU power, and with the help of additional components, the graphics card could reach power levels of 200 watts. However, since it is unknown if the memory is accounted for in the possible leaked values of the GPU power, the only information anyone can reach for the hypothesis is the revealed values for the SoC1 GPU, also known as ACM G10 for desktop systems. The VRAM clocks of the leaked GPU sits at 10,093 megahertz, could also tell us that the effective speed could reach 17.5 gigabits per second, which is higher than any mobile GPU. The fastest mobile GPU has only ever reached 16 gigabits per second, and since mobile GPUs are not typically utilized for overclocking purposes, we could assume that the leaked Arc desktop GPU would run equal to or faster than Nvidia's RTX 3070 graphics card with an effective speed of 14 gigabits per second. Now, if we scroll down here and these leaks do end up being true, the big notes for miners here is that we have 256-bit bus at 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, and the memory speed will be clocking at 17.5 gigabits per second. That does mean, and then of course, if we look at the power consumption, it's 175 watts with full tilt on the core being maxed out on that core clock. We are looking at what could be one of the best GPUs, there we go, or the best mining GPUs to launch in some time. The performance of hash to watt could be pretty incredible for memory intensive algorithms such as Ethereum, Ergo, and so on, and still also show similar benefits in things like Flux and Ravencoin, depending on the support for miners that will be released and so on. I'm pretty excited about these personally. If you compare that, for example, though, to your RTX 3070, that's a 220 watt TDP, and the RX 6700 XT, that's a 230 watt TDP. And it's, it could be, depending on what the TDP actually is here, it could be very, very efficient and do some pretty hefty damage on Ethereum as well. So I'm excited for this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and of course the live chat, which we'll get to at the end. So next we do have a basically an article here about Ergo, and we haven't covered a lot from Ergo, but this one's pretty exciting. Ergo has the first non-custodial token mixer that can be implemented into wallets and other decentralized applications. And this is an interview with the Ergo platform team. So we'll just try to cover it to the best of our ability. Interviews are a little bit weird in this format. So basically, what you have here is Chris, which I believe is the author of this. And then, of course, you have the Ergo team, which is highlighted by team. And it says, so Ergo is based on years of research in cryptocurrency and its markets. What are the advanced features on the offer with Ergo tokens? And they reply, Ergo is the future of proof-of-work blockchains and the next step in the evolution of the UTXO model pioneered by Bitcoin. It is a decentralized, permissionless, open source, and highly secure platform for contractual money designed for everyday use by individuals, businesses, and government entities. The native language, ErgoScript, comes packed with features such as Sigma protocols and multi-stage smart contracts. These features allow Ergo to provide uncompromising security and the ability to tailor and adapt various products to the privacy needs of each entity. Keeping all this in mind, we expect ErgoScript and Ergo's design to be uniquely useful as contractual money with countless possible applications. With Ergo, TPS, which stands for transactions per second, is not an issue that needs to be addressed in the way other chains do. The extended UTXO model on Ergo allows the execution of thousands of transactions from a single input at a fraction of the cost it would take on other blockchains. Ergo also has NIPO POWs, which allow the implementation of light clients and side chains, enabling a much higher degree of functionality and interoperability. Extended support of the light nodes makes Ergo friendly for end users, allowing them to run contracts on common devices such as mobile phones without centralized intermediaries. Chris does ask another question. Ergo has solid foundations backed by a well-experienced team on board. Please introduce your core working group to the readers. How does each member add to the world of Ergo tokens? The team responds, Ergo is built by some of the leading minds in cryptography who have numerous research papers to their names. The two founding developers, Alex and Dimitri have previously worked in developing cryptocurrencies for NXT, Scorex, Cardano, Waves, and smartcontract.com, which is known as Chainlink. Their work is unparalleled in innovation, and their white paper research has been adopted by other blockchains such as Cardano. It is worth noting that other crypto technologies recognize the incredible work of the Ergo team. Charles Hoskinson has been quoted by saying Ergo is the spiritual successor to Bitcoin, and that the team has some of his favorite technologies. For those who are curious to see some of the innovation, SIG-USD is an excellent example. SIG-USD is an over-collateralized crypto-backed algorithmic stablecoin. Due to the way the collateral has been set with reserve tokens, the token is always pegged to the value of the US dollar. And we did cover that on, of course, their Ergo decks on the channel before. If we need an updated one, let me know. I do know, just so you guys are aware, Cardano should be getting implemented into Ergo decks. When that happens, it's going to be pretty big too, especially if Cardano also adopts SIG-USD, I think, at this point. But let's continue on with the interview. Chris says, why did you pick the proof of work blockchain? How does it help with your aim of decentralization? And this is a big one, guys. So the team says hardware. The proof of work consensus is the same consensus for Bitcoin, and that protocol continues to be a proven standard for the security and integrity of the blockchain. The protocol was designed to be ASIC resistant and to allow miners to use consumer-grade GPU hardware, thereby making the blockchain much more accessible to that average person. With Ergo's EUTXO model, the blockchain evolves beyond Bitcoin's UTXO model by enabling smart contract functionality. Ergo is an efficient and secure decentralized finance platform that has recently witnessed several innovations that will forever change the way Satoshi envisioned UTXO. With Ergo, miners hold the power of democracy. They can propose changes to various aspects of the protocol and then vote on those protocols. Those who are familiar with mining pools may ask, how is this possible? It is possible through the power of smart contracts. One Ergo mining pool, GetBlock, which we've covered in the past on this channel, has developed a smart pool mining and a system empowering their miners to vote directly on the EIP27 proposal. Now, if you guys recall, of course, EIP27 is going to be the re-emissions contract to essentially take a portion of block reward, put it into a contract to then extend out emissions for mining, because it seemed like it was a little too short and they weren't going to have enough. The best I can tell, they just weren't going to have enough enough of an incentive to maintain the security on the chain, enough transactions going on for enough fees to not basically have some sort of block reward also included past the original emissions expiration. Chris says, Ergo tokens support a DeFi platform. How do you address the security and privacy of investors and users of Ergo platforms? The team says the security of proof of work was addressed in the previous answer, but it is worth mentioning privacy in Ergo's blockchain. Ergo has the first non-custodial token mixer that can be implemented into wallets and other decentralized applications. Ergo also believes that privacy is necessary to protect the individual. At the same time, the designers of Ergo also know that there are aspects of finance that need to be transparent. With Ergo, users can design products that protect numerous privacies while maintaining the transparency needed to legally operate within respective jurisdictions. Ergo has support for formal verification of contracts, bringing improved security guarantees. Ergo platform deployed its first formally verified P2P crowdfunding contract just 3 months after the network launched. Ergo has also successfully passed the security audit of certain most critical parts of code. Additionally, how can one mint Ergo tokens? How much is the minting fee? The team says minting tokens on Ergo is a very simple process. Users simply need an Ergo wallet and then can access the following website where they input parameters for their token at tokenminter.ergo.ga. Users can use this website to view any particular token on the blockchain, and the fee for minting is 0.003 ERG. Chris then asked, potential investors always want the latest news. How can investors get updates on what's new at Ergo? The team does say anyone who is interested in Ergo may access all of their information on the at ergoplatform.com, I believe it is. .org. All right. And then everyone is also welcome to join all of our social media channels. They list them all here. Links down in the description if you want to check it out. Chris does wrap this interview up saying, in the end, please highlight key milestones you want to achieve in the next 2 years. What are the most important deliverables for Team Ergo? The team says currently you can access the entire ecosystem at Sigma Universe, which is sigmauniverse.io. But users can expect to see a lot of development from Ergo over the next few years. Ergo, DEX, and the NFT auction house have already launched to great success, and the team behind Ergo DEX is preparing their DEX for deployment on Cardano within the year. Following this, they will establish full cross-chain interoperability between Ergo and Cardano, which I think is very important, by the way, guys. This is the big one. ErgoPad has just established an IDO platform with a toolset for DAOs and has several dApps in the pipeline. Ergo users can also access a metaverse, Sigma Valley, and numerous other dApps at Sigmaverse. The Ergo Foundation strategic advisor, Dan Friedman, has recently announced a project that will attract at least 1 million commercial users to Ergo in the next 2 years. I don't know what that is. Maybe they say. But additionally, the foundation is expecting new Tier 1 exchange listings and deployment on prominent decentralized exchanges. There are several partnerships in negotiation, including education partners that will produce and market curriculum at a European accredited university. Other partnerships include business ventures that will increase the use case for small and mid-sized commercial enterprises. In the terms of ecosystem development, Ergo hosts several hackathons, Ergo Hack, per year that have been producing some of the most popular decentralized applications in the ecosystem. At the latest Ergo Hack, developers worked on wallet security, including ledger integration, wrapped Bitcoin on Ergo, Oracle pools, a decentralized smart contract casino, and much more. The Ergo Foundation has multiple grants available to the community dApp developers or decentralized application developers. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention that I kind of will push back on just in general is that whole statement of Ergo being the spiritual successor to Bitcoin. And the primary fact of the matter is that Ergo does have a team, pretty much a doxed team that is in control of it to a certain extent that will shift public perception as it pertains to development within the blockchain, as it pertains to governance and so on. While the governance does go to the miners, and they've worked out some very cool things there with smart contracts, especially with, of course, the smart mining pool at GetBlock. While a lot of these things are being done in an attempt to basically separate the main development team for Ergo away from what is actually happening on the chain and keeping it more decentralized, it's still important to note that just at the end of the day, because there is a fully doxed and active development team, I wouldn't call it a spiritual successor to Bitcoin personally. But that's my 2 cents. I'd like to hear your opinion on it as well. Dogecoin spikes 10% as Musk takes almost $3 billion stake in Twitter. Now, I've been following Musk on Twitter for quite some time. One of the things that I noticed here recently was he was doing a whole bunch of posturing surrounding Twitter in relation to free speech. Basically saying, should Twitter be a free speech platform? In his opinion, yes. And then, of course, in the opinion of most users, it seems to be yes, right? And one of the things that was interesting is that as he started posturing, it just started to become more and more apparent that he had something else in mind. And as of today, I believe around 7 a.m., we got this article. And a little bit before that, we started getting information on Elon Musk basically purchasing, I believe it was like 9% or a pretty hefty share of Twitter. Let's get into it. So prices of some other meme coins increase in tandem. It's kind of funny that there's a relationship, oddly enough, between just whatever Elon does and Dogecoin. It didn't seem like he was like, hey, I bought, maybe it would make sense if he was like, I bought 9%, 9.2% of Twitter via, Dogecoin profits. But that's not what happened. So it's kind of interesting that it always relates back to that. But Dogecoin's Doge token spiked some 10% on Monday as Elon Musk was revealed to hold a 9.2% stake in social media company Twitter Incorporated, worth around $2.8 billion. Data shows that Dogecoin jumped from 14 cents to over 15 cents several minutes after the reports of Musk's stake came out at 10:30 UTC. At the time of writing, prices fell slightly, to 15.4 cents from the 15.5 or 15.6 cents. I have to go look again too, because this has probably changed since the early morning. But the bump had a correlated effect on some other meme coins. Shiba Inu's SHIB jumped 5% alongside the move in Doge. Musk holds over 73,486,938 of common stock in Twitter, valued at over $2.8 billion at the current prices as reported. Musk is one of the most famous backers of cryptocurrencies. His electric car company Tesla reportedly held over $2 billion worth of Bitcoin at the end of 2021. Tesla additionally started accepting Bitcoin for its cars in 2021, but later ended the project citing climate concerns. Tesla also accepts Doge payments on its online merchandise store. The news has previously sent prices of Doge flying 11% in January. Musk has previously lent support to Dogecoin development and adoption. A May 2021 tweet saw Musk state he was working with Dogecoin developers to improve system efficiency. This sent Dogecoin prices flying by 22%. Then in June of 2021, he tweeted that it was important to support a proposal that sought to reduce Dogecoin fees. Now, one of the things here that really bugs me about CoinDesk is it's really not getting to the heart of the issue. And I do want to find a better article on Elon Musk basically talking about or seeing exactly what's going on with this Twitter deal. So let's get some more information here. Let's see if I can find a source that we can actually talk about this. We're going to use New York Times because this should be interesting, and maybe it'll give us a separate view because, like I said, from my perspective, this looks like, from everything that Musk was tweeting and so on, it looks like it's in an intention to redirect the path that Twitter is on back towards free speech, right? So being a free speech platform. Now, New York Times may have a different perspective, so let's see what they say. It says Elon Musk becomes Twitter's largest shareholder. The Tesla chief executive, who has been critical of Twitter's content moderation policies, purchased 9.2% of the social media company. Elon Musk, the billionaire chief executive of Tesla and the world's wealthiest person, bought a nearly 10% stake in Twitter, the social media platform where he has more than 80 million followers and shares everything from business ideas and memes to, this past weekend, his experience at a famed Berlin nightclub. The purchase made publicly on Monday in a regulatory filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission is worth about $2.89 billion based on the closing price of Twitter stock on Friday. News of Mr. Musk's buy-in sent Twitter share prices soaring. A spokesperson for Twitter did not immediately respond to messages requesting comment. Mr. Musk likewise did not respond to a request for comment. The purchase, equal to 9.2% of the company, appears to make Mr. Musk Twitter's largest shareholder. His holding is slightly larger than Vanguard's 8.8%, and at the end of last year, and it endorsed the 2.3% stake of Jack Dorsey, Twitter's former chief executive. The shares represent a fraction of Mr. Musk's reported $270 billion plus net worth. Mr. Musk has criticized the company in recent weeks for failing, in his view, to adhere to free speech principles. And he has openly considered starting a social network of his own that would be open source. His long and complicated personal relationship with the platform has also gotten him in trouble, with his tweets about Tesla's finances resulting in legal wranglings with the SEC. Some of Mr. Musk's ideas, like moving Twitter to an open source network, have earned support of Twitter's co-founder, Mr. Dorsey, who stepped down as chief executive last year. Quote, the choice of which algorithm to use or not should be open to everyone, end quote, Mr. Dorsey said last month in a response to a tweet from Mr. Musk advocating an open source algorithm for the platform. Mr. Dorsey, who is friendly with Mr. Musk, is expected to leave the Twitter board in May. It is unclear what Mr. Musk's plans are beyond the large shareholder position and whether he'll ask or be invited to join Twitter's board. Mr. Musk filed a securities document indicating that he planned for the investment to be passive, meaning he does not intend to pursue control of the company. But there was also speculation Monday that he could change the status of his investment, continuing to buy shares or even try to acquire the company outright. Today's DealBook newsletter reported. Quote, we would expect this passive stake as just the start of broader conversations with the Twitter board and management that could ultimately lead to an active stake and a potential more aggressive ownership role of Twitter, end quote. Daniel Ives, an analyst at Wedbush Securities, said Monday morning. If Mr. Musk pushes for change at Twitter, he would not be the first agitated investor the company has had to contend with in recent years. The activist firm Elliott Management took a position in Twitter and called for Mr. Dorsey's removal in 2020. It later struck a deal with Twitter that included a $1 billion investment from the private equity firm Silver Lake and brought on new board members, including Silver Lake's co-chief executive, Egon Durbin. Silver Lake partnered with Mr. Musk in his effort to take Tesla private. Mr. Musk's list of other business ventures run long. Beyond Tesla, he is chief executive of the rocket company SpaceX and founder of the boring company, a tunnel construction services company. Adding another role to the list could irk Tesla shareholders. In the last 2 months of last year, Mr. Musk sold around $16 billion of Tesla stock, equivalent to roughly 10% of his stake in the electric vehicle company. Tesla defied the supply chain problems that have strained most traditional car makers, adding to Mr. Musk's wealth and his influence in the tech and auto industries. Tesla nearly doubled sales last year, approaching 1 million vehicles sold. On Saturday, Tesla said it sold 310,000 cars in the first 3 months of 2022, a 70% increase from the same period a year earlier. Gains that contrast with steep declines reported last week by General Motors and Toyota Motor. Tesla's steadily expanding production network, including new factories in Austin, Texas, and near Berlin, positions the company to rival car makers like BMW and Mercedes-Benz in numbers of vehicles sold. Despite an array of new battery-powered models from Ford Motor, Kia, and others, Tesla continues to dominate the market for electric cars, the industry's fastest-growing segment. Still, executives who have juggled the media projects with other private endeavors have sometimes found themselves in policymakers' crosshairs. Former President Donald J. Trump, for example, took a dim view of Amazon because he disagreed with the coverage in the Washington Post, which Jeff Bezos bought in 2013. Tesla is a large beneficiary of environmental credits, while SpaceX pursues government contracts. Regardless of potential pushback Mr. Musk may stand to gain from the investment, the document detailing Mr. Musk's stake said it was worth about $3 billion at Friday's closing price. It is dated March 14th, and Twitter's shares are up about 50% since then. Man, the ultimate pump and dumper, huh? Is that? No, I really do think that, obviously it's set as a passive stake right now, but due to some of the tweets that are coming from us surrounding the concerns over free speech and that sort of thing, I would see this going down the route of him possibly considering taking an active stake here and beginning to at least try to have some influence over the algorithm and moving to open source. And I'm all for that, right? And unfortunately, in the way society works right now, or the economy works right now, which directly influences society based on shareholders and money and so on, you kind of need somebody like Elon Musk that has enough money to actually do something for things to change, unfortunately, in some of these circumstances. The only other option, like we've talked about before, especially as it pertains to cryptocurrency and blockchain, is that even though people do have the money and the power, the biggest threat, of course, is the numbers. So utilizing platforms that that basically support your ideals or values and the fundamentals is up to you ultimately, and up to the population. And if we can get the word out there about things that follow good fundamentals and good principles that we can all come to some sort of agreement on, then I think that is the best way to change. But like I said, unfortunately, when we are talking about, you know, the influence over things like Facebook and Twitter and so on, you kind of have to have somebody that has the money to start influencing it in a direction, in the opposite direction of what it's currently going in. And I think that it does become eventually an active stake. And I think that it will also, of course, depend on, you know, the amount of censorship and so on, and how bad it gets over at Twitter. So I'd like to hear your comments about this and what you think Musk's plans are. Was it purely to pump Dogecoin? Are we going to start seeing Dogecoin implemented into Twitter? Is that really what's going on? Or is it something else, more principled? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the SEC requires crypto exchanges to expose their customers' assets. And not so good news coming from cryptoslate.com. Yesterday, the SEC said crypto platforms should treat customer holdings in custody as their own assets and include them in their balance sheets. This year, a crackdown on digital assets has been at the top of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC plan. This was made clear by the SEC chair, Jerry Gensler, in January, when he said, if the trading platforms don't come into the regulated space, it'd be another year of public being vulnerable. Now, remember, we talk about this a lot on this show. What is it? What is this that is happening right now? Why are they utilizing that term, public being vulnerable? Well, if we take a look at the case of basically how you obtain control over the public, especially in different spaces where you want control, the first step to go ahead and do there is to get the public scared. And if you can get the public scared, then you come in and say, okay, we're going to protect you from this. So what you're going to see is a lot of rhetoric surrounding protecting the individual, when in fact the idea is at the end of the day to remove the financial autonomy and the rights of the individual. So don't get swayed by these types of arguments, and be very careful and keep a close eye when these are being utilized. Since then, the SEC has used its agencies exclusively to obtain information and run investigations on crypto exchanges. Yesterday, it took another step towards its goal. It obliged crypto trading companies to consider all assets they hold for their customers as their own capital, including them on their balance sheets. In addition to the fiat currencies, the nature and amount of crypto assets held for customers will also be disclosed in the detail. What should you learn here? All right, what should you learn here if we're going to be talking about them essentially having the exchanges included on their balance sheet? What does that mean? I mean, at the end of the day, the government doesn't consider you in control of that asset. So what do you need to do? You need to take that off of the public exchanges, because basically they're telling you right here that it is not yours, not your keys, not your crypto. And the SEC agrees. Okay. It's very clear here what is going on. The new rule will be effective as of June and apply to all publicly listed crypto trading companies. Currently, crypto trading companies record and disclose the digital assets they hold in custody on behalf of their customers separately. This system is also used by brokerages as well. The new requirement will separate crypto exchanges from brokerages and significantly enlarge the exchange's balance sheet as of June. For example, while Coinbase listed $21.3 billion in assets and liabilities in last year's balance sheet, it also said it had $278 billion in cryptocurrency and currency in customer custody. This is pretty scary. Excuse me. This is also pretty scary because we are talking about the separation of cryptocurrency from traditional stock markets. It can kind of be good from the perspective of separating those two. However, the reason that's being done is because it's more tightly controlled and definitely more manipulated by people in charge in the stock market, and they want to be able to control and regulate exchanges, especially crypto exchanges, is what I mean, a lot more tightly here because, well, what we're seeing is a battle for control over this market. According to the announcement, the SEC is worried about the negative impact of technological, legal, and regulatory risks of cryptocurrency on their operations. The announcement states, quote, "The obligations associated with these arrangements involve unique risks and uncertainties not present in arrangements to safeguard assets that are not crypto assets, including technological, legal, and regulatory risks and uncertainties." Technological risks include the safeguarding of assets and third parties who may be affected by the high volatility of crypto assets. Legal risks refer to the lack of precedent on how crypto custody would be dealt with in court. On the other hand, regulatory risks are about having a few regulatory requirements for holding crypto. At the same time, the exchange companies may not comply with the new regulations that exist, which increases the risk to investors. With the new rule, the SEC hopes to expose more data on crypto exchanges to help investors with their allocation decisions. The ruling says, quote, "The staff believes that the recognition, measurement, and disclosure of guidance in this statement will enhance the information received by investors and other users of financial statements about these risks, thereby assisting them in making investment and other capital allocation decisions." Look, you don't know what you're doing. We know what to do. So just listen to us, okay? That's what they're telling you. Let's go ahead and talk about India. Their crypto trading volume has plummeted since the new tax rules were entered into force. So we kind of knew this was going to happen. If you guys aren't aware, there's basically a huge flat tax going on. This isn't a capital gains tax. This is a flat tax. Crypto trading volumes in India have plummeted following the new tax law entering into force. The new rules impose a 30% flat tax on crypto income and do not allow losses to be offset against gains. The new crypto tax rules entered into force on April 1st. Of course it did. Of course it did. What a perfect day. After the country's parliament approved Finance Bill 2022. A flat tax of 30% now applies to crypto income with no deductions or loss offsets allowed. On April 1st, crypto exchanges in India began seeing sharp declines in trading volumes. Aditya Singh, I think, something like that, who runs the YouTube channel Crypto India, posted screenshots on Twitter showing a sharp decline in trading volume at 4 major cryptocurrency exchanges in India, including CoinDCX, BitBNS, ZebPay, and Wazirx. Quote, "This is just the start of the decline of such a great ecosystem that we had in India," end quote. Twitter user Shivam, I can't pronounce his name, commented, quote, "Our government must think about taxation rules that bolster the industry and their tax revenue at the same time. Many people earn their living from crypto trading," end quote. India's finance ministry explained in Lok Sabha, the lower house of parliament, last week that, quote, "No deduction in respect of any expenditure other than the cost of acquisition or allowance is allowed," end quote. Furthermore, losses from crypto transactions cannot be offset against gains. Anish Singhal, co-founder of the CEO of crypto trading platform CoinSwitch, commented that, quote, "A flat 30% tax that does not differentiate short-term capital gains from long-term gains with no provision for deducting expenses incurred or offsetting losses is not in the tune with the tax framework for other asset classes and is discriminatory," end quote. And that's important because as we continue to see these regulations go into place, just like what the SEC is doing with separating brokerages from crypto exchanges, what we are seeing is essentially a discriminatory behavior against cryptocurrency. And it is clear that it has nothing to do with protection, because if you're basically separating, your traditional stock market away from cryptocurrency, there's a very clear distinction there of, no, this really really isn't about protecting the individual, right? That is not what it's about, even though that's what they're going to tell you it's about. Look at what they're doing and the separations they're making. It's clearly not about that. there is discriminatory behavior being done here, and I definitely agree on this point, especially when we're talking about India. Crypto supporters in India have petitioned on change.org for the government to introduce reasonable tax policies surrounding crypto. At the time of writing, the petition has garnered more than 103,000 signers. On July 1st, another damaging tax provision will come into effect. A 1% tax deducted at source TDS will be imposed on crypto transactions. So that's going to be every time you make a transaction, it's going to have that 1% tax deduction. An Indian parliament member recently explained why this is detrimental to the crypto industry. So they ask here, and I'll ask you guys, what do you think about how India is taxing crypto income and transactions? Let me know in the comment section below and in the live chat, and then we'll go from there. We have more too. We have a tax from the EU coming in as well. So the US, India, EU, there's some in Canada as well. We're probably going to cover that one tomorrow. It's a little bit bigger, but the EU cracks down on crypto assets, forcing crypto users to KYC. It's never going to end today. European Union lawmakers met Thursday and cracked down on crypto. Soon, authorities will be granted access to details on sender and recipient crypto transfers in the EU. The EU vote was on a revised anti-money laundering (AML) legislation. The proposal will require crypto exchanges to share details of their customers' anonymous transactions. Additionally, quote, unheated wallets, end quote, such as MetaMask will require KYC. Yeah, good luck with that. The crypto industry has been a much debated topic recently. Earlier this month, an EU proposal making Bitcoin and Ethereum illegal was rejected. EU lawmakers have been discussing regulations for a while now. Therefore, the current ruling doesn't come as a surprise. However, it does go against what crypto is all about, decentralization. And so let's keep going. Crypto exchange Coinbase Global has warned lawmakers about surveillance disrupting innovation. Crypto is a $2.1 trillion industry. The laws differ throughout the world. However, more regulation has entered into the space. The EU Commission regulations imposed only apply to transfers over 1,000 euros. The lawmakers want to make it easy to report suspicious transactions and freeze digital assets. What this means is that anonymous transactions will cease to exist. In a statement, the EU Commission said, quote, these proposals have been designed to find the right balance, end quote. The EU must comply with international standards, but also doesn't want to create a regulatory burden on the industry. The European Union, the European Union states have the final say on any proposals. This means it could take 2 years for this to become law. It is a fine line between trying to ensure financial fair play and not overreaching with surveillance. So what we do know is this is the path that is going to be taken by governments and so on. It's kind of expected. That being said, at the same time, don't freak out right now. Obviously, it's going to take a long time to implement, up to 2 years. Also, is it even viable to fully implement this type of thing? And that's really where the question comes into play. I think at the exchange level, obviously, the U.S. is going to be able to implement KYC surrounding that. It's clear that if you are in a public exchange and that's where your crypto assets are, you definitely do not control your assets. So that's very important as well to take into consideration if you're, wanting to actually have that financial autonomy. Make sure you get your crypto outside of the exchanges. At some point, though, containing crypto and controlling your own keys, as we've seen recently in proposals in Canada, will be frowned upon and even to the point of illegal and, persecutable by the government. And it's going to be some dark times, I think, surrounding crypto regulation there. It'll be all fine and honky-dory as long as you have it all within a public exchange. That basically means you don't even own it anyways, where they can freeze your assets and control everything. But as soon as you move cryptocurrency into the realm of peer-to-peer transactions without the interference of governments or banks or centralized companies like exchanges, then that becomes a problem for the state. And that was the original intention. As much as everybody that is making money off of Bitcoin, even including the politicians and so on, would like to ignore, that was the original intention. Now you can decide to either follow along with that, and that's what you think would be proper, or not. I'd like to know essentially what your thoughts and concerns are surrounding, of course, all of this down in the comment section below. Now, who should be doing the job to warn people and essentially help people, guide people through the cryptocurrency market, which does have scams? Should it be the government, or should it be individuals that help you research and warn you against certain projects? Well, I would argue that that would be the job of a journal, like a crypto journalist, right? And so I don't consider myself a journalist. I'm definitely a mining guy. I'm definitely more of a documentation guy. However, now with the Crypto Mining Show, we have moved into it a little bit. Today on Google Trends, one of the biggest trends alongside cryptocurrency is the Saitama token. And this is an ERC20 token. And it's important to go ahead and review it for you guys so that you understand what's happening and whether or not you should basically participate within it. And seeing that it's on trends, we definitely should go ahead and address it. So the Saitama token, our token has a fair launch on the Ethereum ERC20 network on the 31st of May, 2021. It has, it is a medium for transactions and a monetary system on its own, with smart coding that benefits loyal holders with rewards and protection from whales, big wallet holders for toxic actions. So why is that? What are they doing? This is very common rhetoric, especially within the ERC20 token space, or even the BEP20 token space. Other projects that claim these types of things, of course, is going to be your SafeMoon. It's going to be any kind of auto liquidity coin. So right off the bat, as soon as I read this, I'm probably expecting, and I haven't even read the full white paper here, or this ecosystem, or the splash page. I'm going to tell you that it probably has something to do with auto liquidity. And let's get into it and see. So passive income systems. 2% of every transaction with Saitama is deducted and redistributed to our pool of holders. Ta-da! It means that just by holding it, you will see the number of tokens increasing automatically every day as the community transacts. Ta-da! Scam already done. Passive income system that basically takes 2% of your transaction to add into a liquidity pool. Called it. Deflationary currency. As an additional 2% of the amount of all transactions is taken out of circulation, meaning that our token supply is constantly shrinking and making your Saitama increase in value with time. We have already started with 49% of the supply burned. Everyone is expecting to make profit, but we want to profit to be for everyone. Saitama is coded in a way that prevents big wallet holders, whales, from trying to manipulate the price with their favor, or from dumping the token by selling out. Problem is once everybody starts selling out, you get an additional 4% of whatever they're selling, basically either going into a 2% going to a liquidity pool and 2% of it being burned. I could have told you back in May that this is not a good idea, but we like to cover it and make sure that you guys are aware so you see it later on. What happens to these types of automatic liquidity pools, and what is the public perception? Obviously, there's a big pump today. Why is that happening? Well, because obviously it's on Google Trends, but it had a big dump here too. This is kind of indicative of how all of this functions. You have much lower lows than you have highs. If we go across the 7-day, you can see a consistent decrease, except for this pump right here. And if we go into the 1 month, you have a pump on the March 28th of 2022, which is most likely why everybody's Googling it, and then just straight back down. So what do we see if we take a look at the Twitter responses of everybody regarding this token? So Saitama wallet beginning with OXF9A and ending in is a main dev wallet. Wish I could post the entire address, but CMC won't allow. Way more liquidity pulled out than put into the project, and the links on the children wallets associated with it. Hint on holder, owns Black Lambo. Sell as soon as you can, break even, and move out from this bad experience. time to start selling. It may not be a scam, but still chance to make money. I'm not sure if Saitama will survive the bear market due to multiple failures with each new project release. Who's coming after their rear ends after they rug pull the whole project? There won't be a place to hide for every single one of them. Well, where's these new exchanges? Russ said that we're coming. BS again. Can't wait to get my money back and get out. And this is the problem, is once everybody starts wanting to get out of auto liquidity tokens, it starts tanking the price harder and harder. Just as fast as it goes up when you're burning supplies, it's as fast as it goes down when it starts burning supplies and adding those tokens. The great thing about that is, of course, if you have a dev wallet that has control of the automated liquidity, you have the option to basically be also getting 2% of everybody selling, so you can continue to make a profit. These are very sketchy. I do not like automated liquidity pools. I do not think that they are valid or a valid way for you to make money. Be very careful surrounding any of them that talk about huge manipulation of the ecosystem there. And just pay attention, guys. When you go look at these tokens, you may see it's trending and be like, oh, I'm going to go in and buy. Make sure you just come to CoinMarketCap. Like this whole section of Twitter, you know, is going to give you a lot of good information on what the current holders are doing. A lot of these people are trying to pull out right now, and they can't pull out because if they pull out now, like even if you bought at the lowest price, right? The problem is that as you pull out, 4% is going away immediately. So you're taking a 4% loss, even if the price hasn't moved. Even if the price hasn't moved, you're taking a 4% loss. Let's talk about mining profitability for the day. I'm actually down quite a bit, primarily due to the fact that I do have a rig offline. We'll be going to resolve that later on. Our projected is $227 US for the day at 0.065. Yesterday, we only did 0.058. I have had a rig down for over 24 hours, but I was wanting to go fishing, and, you know, I took the hit to make sure I spent time with the kids. And then hopefully I'll be out there pretty much all night tonight getting everything reconfigured and back up. And that current hash rate is at 4.94 gigahash a second with the average hash rate 5.12. On Luck Pool, we have somebody donating some hash to the channel. 2 people actually, so thank you guys for that. Well, it looks like one went offline. Okay, so we have one supporting with that CPU on Luck Pool for Varus coin. So it'll be a little bit off, I suppose, of what I would be making, but last 24 hours, 1.3 VRSC. Primarily, we're mining this one just to continue to test out the Varus hash rate for Soapcoin. Let's go ahead and talk about mining profitability on what to mine for the 3090 and get this Zell hash up and running. Calculate this out. We have Ethereum at $4.91 a day after power. Zell hash at $3.71 a day after power on NiceHash, which is actually pretty significantly higher, 30 cents higher than if you were going to mine Flux directly at $3.40 a day after power, primarily due to the fact that I think we see a lot of investors really trying to get enough Flux for a node that are maybe people that are just building nodes and not so much people that are mining or miners, right? That's kind of what we're seeing. So there's definitely, the good news is for Flux that there's definitely outside interest outside of GPU miners for this particular coin, which I think does help set it apart. I think we will see some of that with things like Ergo as well. You can see Ergo here at $3.55 a day after power. I think a lot of the announcements for the token mixer, I think some of the hype surrounding the inclusion of Cardano on Ergo DEX and that interoperability, all of that stuff's going to be very, very important for public perception outside of cryptocurrency miners. So the people that are participating in Cardano, they go, oh, we got a new decentralized exchange, Ergo DEX. Why is it called Ergo? What's Ergo? Ta-da, boom. So a lot of that from that perspective is going to affect a lot of these coins. And I think that that's going to maintain. Ethereum Classic still performing well at $3.40 a day after power. And then if we scroll down, we still do have Ravencoin. It's not really performing as well from the mining perspective, but it's at $2.75 a day after power on the RTX 3090. If we take a look at mining pool statistics, Bitcoin is still increasing in hash rate up to 222 exahash a second. Let's take a look at Ethereum, of course, as well. And with Ethereum, we're at 991 terahash a second, falling back under, of course, the falling back under the 1 petahash. Now, we had the API down for Hivon, but that's back up, so this should be indicative. You can see the drop off here that happened on April 1st. 956 terahash a second on network hash rate reported here, which is even lower. Pretty interesting. We can also take a look at Ethereum Classic right now, and it is still maintaining right at that 28.62 terahash a second. The good news is there's not a huge decrease in hash rate going on with Ethereum Classic after its recent pump, which is exactly what we want to see. Of course, once we start moving to things like Flux, things get extra interesting because we talked about that profitability on NiceHash and the rentals that are going on. So what we're really looking for is some of this solo thing, spikes in the solo price already today going on, already on the second going on, not so much today. Let's see here. We got 2 miners solo again, April 1st, April 2nd. Z-Pool, not really what we're looking for. Flex Pool solo pool down there. And lots of spikes on hero miners off and on. So most stable pool kind of looking like miner pool still. Let's go ahead and look at Ergo. I would expect an increase. Yeah, so we have more people testing out Ergo, especially with its profitability pumping today. So you can see these are more long-term miners that are doing it, right? 666 pool is up. You have some people trying out on 2 miners here, starting to pump that up a little bit. 2 miners solo has definitely increased quite a bit to 948 gigahash a second. And we'll just have to see if basically Ergo can increase the hash rate and then maintain that hash rate, hopefully in correlation with some sort of price increase. You can see over the 7-day, it's up 0.5 percentage point at $5.21. I think the last high was like $5.30 over the past week. So there you go. Taking a look at Ravencoin. Ravencoin really has had pretty much no real action on it. Doesn't appear to even still appears to not really have a ton of action on it, around 3.25 terahash a second, with most of the increase that was going on to 2 miners dropping back off here over the past week. And then Flux, of course, usually sitting around 2 mega solutions a second. I just wanted to double check, and it's still sitting at 2 mega hash a second. So mining pool profits for the week. Let's go ahead and get into it. Starting for the week. Last 90 days, Flex Pool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, ZET in third. Last 60 days, ZET in first, Flex Pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. Last 30 days, ZET in first, Flex Pool in second, 2 miners in third. Last 21 days, ZET in first, Flex Pool in second, Nano Pool in third. Last 14 days, ZET in first, Flex Pool in second, 2 miners in third. Last 7 days, ZET in first, Nano Pool in second, Flex Pool in third. Last 3 days, Mining Pool Hub in first, ZET in second, Crazy Pool in third. For the last day, we have ZET in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, and Flex Pool in third. We also like to check out, let me see if I can pull this up, our ASIC mining profitability for today. And it looks like the KD6 is up at $135.85 US a day. Jazz Miner really pumping up with the profitability on ETH at $127.25 a day, and the A11 as well. KD5 at $91.90 a day. ASIC mining looking pretty good today. Let's look at the S19 Pro. Where'd you go? That's the J Pro. Here's the Pro. Still sitting right at that $19 a day on Digibyte. Don't forget, you can check out the links in the description below for btminers.com. And let's see if they have any more sales going on today. Not really. Still all the same stuff. KD blocks at 6,200. It looks like another $100 drop on the S19 Pro to 9,800 US dollars. And that's about it. Let's get into questions and answers. I am going to be answering some questions. Remember, Super chats never required, always appreciated, and the easiest to read. Therefore, they will be read every time. Tagging at Son of a Tech will include, of course, at Son of a Tech will include an orange label that allows me to answer it. Sorry, I was already starting to read some stuff and try to go through that. So start getting your questions and answers in. I am actually going to hit the restroom real quick. It'll take like 2 seconds, but that morning coffee hit. Okie dokie. Keith says, ask Son of a Tech, when you were talking about passive cooling on the 6060 Super, is that all models? No, that wouldn't be all models. I know like a lot of the, basically the single fan models are going to be the big ones. So we are talking about, of course, like the MSI, the EVGA, I think even the Zotac. Most of the models, most of the single fan models are passively cooled on the memory modules. Jorge O says, Son of a Tech, Micro Center just removed the 30-day GPU policy. That's pretty awesome. I actually have two 1660 Supers we're going to be installing today as well. So let me see if I can give you guys an example. So Amazon, the cheaper models are all passively cooled. So I believe, like, for example, this one, which is the MSI, the Ventus, the 2-fan version, which I'm going to be linking you guys here, is going to essentially be it's going to have thermal pads. However, if we went to... Where's the single fan? I don't even see the single fan on here right now. There's a single fan MSI version. Here it is. Which is actually more expensive, funny enough, right now. But you know the way the GPU market is. This one is passively cooled. And I have the MSI one here. All right. Dan San says, at Son of a Tech, do you think the solution for us miners after ETH 2.0 will be ETH goes up in price after the merge, then other coins will go up in price, helping us have mining profits? I think that if we're talking about correlation to price and other small cap altcoins, you're looking at the increase of price of Bitcoin. Ooh, I shouldn't have closed my eyes. Not Ethereum. MMO Stars says, as Son of a Tech got Ethermine newsletter today. They launched a beta for staking pool 3 hours ago. KYC will be mandatory. You know, that follows along the line on April Fool's. We read the post from Vitalik Buterin. He basically spent the entire time making fun of Bitcoin maximalists based on their fundamentals, calling them libertarians, which of course I would believe is true. And, you know, being very sarcastic about it. I think that Ethereum poses a significant risk to the fundamentals of cryptocurrency. And we can already see that it is misled and led astray a lot of people, unfortunately. And I fully expect that to continue. And I do not think that, obviously, I also think that Ethermine is willing to compromise all of the fundamentals just purely based on their participation in the sanctions of Russia. So none of that surprises me, but we could look at that, and I'll add that for the show notes tomorrow. Hawk Crypto Mining says, I have 5 3090 Asus Tough. The pads suck and they run hot. Not sure if you covered this. Do you have a video on replacing them? In my last video, I specifically did the Asus 3070 Tough, and I showed how there is basically an additional plate you need to remove. My assumption would be that the 3090 would have the same design for that particular set of cooling pads. So go check out that vlog and you can get an idea of what you need to be replacing. That being said, as far as I recall, it's all 2mm pads. And thanks for the $10 super chat. Das Nichols says, at Son of a Tech so passively cooled, is that better for people using power fans to cool their GPUs anyways? Well, you see, the 1660 Super is a very special case in the fact that a majority of them will actually only, like, to get the full 30 mega hash will require a memory under clock. So you'll go negative 1004 on the memory clock. It will stay cool. You will not have to do thermal pads. The point of getting a passively cooled one is going to be that you reduce essentially your overhead. Basically you're going to have to replace thermal pads less. You're going to have to mess with it less. It'll stay running longer. This is what I want out of a GPU. Hence why I look at the 1660 Supers with the passive cooled. Oh, Great One says, at Son of a Tech, I'm off today. Good to be part of the live stream. Well, thank you for letting us know. Hope you have a good day off. Martin says, at Son of a Tech, what would the cause be for a breakout board to burn? Had 2 brand new ones, started a fire, all cables connections were checked and everything is fine. So obviously you need to get with parallel miner or whatever. The primary factor would be that you are requesting more power than is actually available through that board. So you would want to look at what the rated power consumption on that board would be. That's going to be your number one thing to look at. Poor manufacturing could be a part of that, but in most cases is not. And then the only other thing is, but you said the board, not the cables. I have seen the board or the cables on Molex for the breakout boards burn up before. So that just goes back to not using Molex or SATA for anything, period, ever, in my humble opinion. Detroit Iris says, at Son of a Tech, does Flux have its own deck similar to Ergo decks? If not, have you seen an ETA on it? No, Flux doesn't really use it. So how would we explain this? Flux has the Zelcore wallet, which is essentially kind of a decentralized exchange, but not in the form that you would, not in the form of a tokenized asset. So most decentralized exchanges as we know them and function with them in things like Uniswap or PancakeSwap for Binance or Ergo Dex, they are tokenized assets built onto the chain to basically support this sort of decentralized exchange going on. Zelcore wallet definitely works in a completely different way. It integrates a lot of exchanges, even KYC exchanges, centralized ones and decentralized ones. Primarily, it utilizes something called QuickSwap, but that's not going to be like a one-to-one. Like with the QuickSwap thing that works there is it'll actually like send it to a contract type deal. It will make the exchange for you. It will send it to an exchange and it'll bring it back into your wallet. It's not the preferred way. I don't think that, I don't think though that Flux in general would be moving to a tokenized decentralized exchange. Now, maybe there is something there and I completely missed it. Let me know in the comment section below. But this time, I don't think that that is something that they are going to be working on. Nicholas Kane says, Ask Son of a Tech, nice to see Caspa is listed on Hive OS. Are you still mining it? And do you consider jumping on the Caspa pool? I will not jump on a pool. I will solo mine it. I don't know why you would jump on a pool necessarily at this point. I think you would lose a lot of money that way. But it is nice, and I am still mining it, yes. Hawk Crypto Mining Company says, Ask Son of a Tech, thank you. Yes, sir. Texas Ace says, Ask Son of a Tech, any tips for selecting a power company in Texas at your house? Have you had any issues with large power usage causing issues down the road? Looking at a 60-month contract at 10.3 cents a kilowatt hour. That sounds pretty intense. I don't have any tips for residential other than stop mining residential as soon as you can. If you want to survive, we all have to expand and reduce power consumption, or reduce power costs, right? So, as far as that goes though, no, I don't know any. I mean, obviously, like, you can move and you can call all the companies and look for better pricing. 10.3 cents a kilowatt hour is pretty hefty though, especially in Texas. But I do know residential rates are skyrocketing right now compared to commercial. And we've talked about this before. Scott Schultz says, Ask Son of a Tech, it's tough being a principled mining mercenary. We're like the crypto witchers. There you go. Android Man says, Ask Son of a Tech, Ola from Spain. I look forward to your daily news. Thanks for the top service. Yes, sir. Trading Nickel says, Ask Son of a Tech, I had a MOBO with very low power to CPU fans. I used the SATA power cord to get more of my fans. I am also using an SSD. And am I asking for trouble? Under 100 watts for the whole motherboard. Well, it's really going to be how much of that SATA power, how much, power those fans are taking. In a lot, so you're going to have to do the calculations, figure out how much power those fans are actually extracting. And you really don't want to go above like 25 watts on that SATA power. Otherwise, you do risk power. Or fire. Sorry, excuse me. So you just need to be super careful with those SATA and those Molex adapters. Lucas says, Ask Son of a Tech, Flux to Mars and Hero Miners pool spikes are also nice half spikes. They just don't have a solo pool. Yeah, I was noticing those spikes as well on the Hero Miners. We talked about it earlier. Thanks for the clarification. Texas Ace says, Ask Son of a Tech, reply on the power company. I think the actual power cost is 6.4 cents plus the 3.9 cents Encore delivery. That's a crazy delivery charge. It's about 2 cents cheaper than the next cheapest company you can find. No, and I mean, that's great. Lock yourself in where you can with residential power and then, keep expanding to the point to where you can get onto some commercial power. Usually a delivery charge is between 1 and 2 cents a kilowatt hour. So that delivery charge does seem extremely high to me. But it is what it is. Great one says, any new GPUs bought due to drop? Yes, I've got 3 1660 Supers so far. My buy point's been about 319 for them. Prophet says, Ask Son of a Tech, already covered the Saitama project. Yes, we already did. We sure did. All you really need to know about that project is it's just another safe moon. It's just another automated liquidity token. It's another safe moon / hex type thing. But it is trending, so we wanted to talk about it and clarify what it was for people. Full Metal Potato says, at Son of a Tech, can't even get a locked-in contract here at the moment. We had a load of companies go bust with the gas prices rises. Screwed is not the word. Yeah. Josh Clement says, Ask Son of a Tech, have you mined Caspa with a 6600 XT? No, I haven't. I have all of those still on ETH. Just 1063 gigs. The best time to buy automated liquidity tokens is when they're at the very bottom right after the first launch, and then hope that somebody, you know, basically makes them super popular again, and then you sell when it gets really, really high, or just convince other people to be stupid enough to buy it. That's why when you look at SafeMoon, when you look at Hex, when you look at Saitama, what you usually see in the very beginning is, or even throughout, is there's a whole bunch of people that are basically stuck. Because if they remove or try to sell it, they basically lose, like in the case of Saitama, 4% of their investment, bam, right off the bat. It doesn't matter if the coin went up or down, right? So if you're just always going to lose 4% of your sats, period, like you're going to always lose 4% in the case of Saitama, no matter what, right? If you sell, you lose 4%. You lose 4% when you buy, you lose 4% when you sell, you lose 4% when you trade. Every single time you lose 4%. And it just pumps and pumps and pumps the dev wallet controlled liquidity pool. That's all they do. So the thing that happens is a whole bunch of people need that price to go up at least over 4% to even get out. So how do they usually do this? Well, they come and they spam YouTube channels like mine, telling you to buy it and buy it and buy it. And they spam Twitter and they leech on to like larger crypto tuber Twitter replies. And they always reply to those saying, buy it. Oh, it's going to the moon. It's going to the moon. Because what they need is for you to basically support their mistake. They need you to basically bail them out. That's what happens with all of these projects every time. Pay Me in Crypto says, Ask Tech, biggest mining regret of 2022. Some of it feels out of my control. I wish I could have expanded harder, for sure. I think but as far as purchasing, I think purchasing the 3090s is the biggest regret. Ringo the Amigo says, that's Son of a Tech. How were your results with the K5 thermal putty? Wouldn't recommend the K5. I have some other that viewers sent. We're going to give it a shot and I'll let you guys know. Prophet X says, ask Son of a Tech, ever review the BioStar TB360 BTC D+? I saw you reviewed the BTC Pro version. No, I don't think I have the TB360. Sorry. Yeah. All right. I think that's going to call it up. It is 11 a.m. I'm going to head to jiu-jitsu, then head out to the farm after that and probably be working out there all day. So if you want to see what I'm working on, we'll have a vlog out for that, hopefully tomorrow. And then, of course, don't forget, essentially, that we will have, of course, Twitter posts, probably just taking pictures of stuff that we're working on and so on, over on my Twitter channel at twitter.com/sonofatech. Oh, geez, that's loud. There we go. Cool, cool. I'll see you next Tuesday.